One might suppose that in this modern age dominated by the remarkable accomplishments of science, the ancient world of the occult would be dying out. Instead, many occult beliefs and practices seem to be thriving. Gary Shepard has a report.
Astrology has been around for thousands of years, but lately there's been a dramatic rise in the number of people who embrace it. The Gallup poll last year found that 32 million Americans believe in astrology. That's 1 person out of 5. Here on Broadway, the musical Hair even hired a staff astrologer to select the best date for the opening and to design the show's trademark. The age of Aquarius has become the anthem for an industry that has found its fortune in the stars.
A lot of people think it's the age of Aquarius, but we're very dubious about that.
The We is an awkwardly named group, the Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal. It is made up of scientists, writers, even magicians who are worried that too many people these days are believing in too many things.
There are many illustrations of this: psychokinesis, remote viewing, precognition, the psychics, UFOs, chariots of the gods, astrology, faith healing. The list is endless. Some may consider excursions in the paranormal or the occult to be harmless, but these primitive reversions may have far-reaching implications, for there is always the danger that once irrationality grows, it will spill out into other areas of society.
As an example of that spillover, Professor Kurtz points to the occult references in the letters of the son of Sam. Astrology appears to be of particular concern. The estimate is that there are 3 times as many professional astrologers in this country as there are professional astronomers. The committee claims that more than 80% of the newspapers in the United States deceive their readers by running daily horoscope columns because there is no rational basis for believing in astrology. Not long ago, 186 scientists signed a petition to that effect. But rational or not, the belief is there. How about you, ma'am? Do you believe in astrology?
Not too seriously, but I read it because it's fun. And I'm a Leo, and like from what they say about me, it seems right.
Well, when the moon is out, everybody goes off the beam, and that's affecting the people. Then when the moon goes in again, well, everybody's all right again.
The Committee for the Scientific Investigation of Claims of the Paranormal, it would seem, is going to have a devil of a time. Gary Shepard, CBS News, New York.
So if the doorbell rings in the middle of the night tonight and a ghost is standing there, simply refer him to the local paranormal chapter and go back to bed. That's the news this Halloween. I'm Roger Mudd, CBS News. Good night.
the trunky deeps. No bird makes sound, no creature moves to break the gripping air. And the Christian, he raises his hands up to his mouth, but you know a whisper he cannot dare.
Within the last year, LaVey has established a branch in the New York metropolitan area. New York members seem to be more concerned with anonymity. Its membership here is only 75, and the acting High Priestess is an attractive working mother who lives in a quiet New Jersey suburb. She declined to be seen on camera and would only give her satanic name, Lilith.
The popular concept of Satanism, magic, yes. They do use drugs. There are still people today, that use drugs, and they do atrocious things, and, suddenly you see the headlines, Satan cult strikes again. But these people are not true Satanists, as we define Satanism for our philosophy. We sort of look upon them as a kind of a lunatic fringe.
Hail Satan!
Hail Satan!
Hail Satan!
Hail Satan!
Hail Satan!
Hail Satan!
Behold, saith Satan, I am a circle on whose hands stand the 12 kingdoms. 6 are the seats of living breath, the rest are as sharp sickles or the horns of death that are in the creature.
White witch of modern times. Slightly after the period of the Wicca, there developed the Satanist. Really couldn't explain any.
The current revival of interest in the devil got its start in San Francisco in the mid-60s with the formation of the Church of Satan under Anton Szandor LaVey, known to some as the Black Pope. Members call on Satan not as a spirit person, but as a symbol of the force of evil, the dark side of human nature, which they say has been neglected by traditional religions. They believe this force can be directed toward helping their members or hexing their enemies. LaVey claims that a Satanist can motivate other people in accordance with his will. In California, where the bizarre is almost commonplace, this sort of ceremony is fairly open. Charles Manson, a self-styled Satanist, is the extreme example of what can happen as the result of what Lilith called the lunatic fringe. Long before the bloody ritualist murders of Sharon Tate and her friends and the LaBiancas in August of 1969, Manson and his followers are said to have practiced blood sacrifices in remote areas around Los Angeles. Shortly after Manson's death sentence was handed down in California this past spring,
be it pleasure, pain, joy, or sorrow, show her today what will be tomorrow. All right, cut the cards once with your left hand to the left with your left hand. The answer is yes.
Yes, what?
The cards say that yes, you should stay here. You have 4 votes yes and 2 votes no. This is the past, the present, and the future of the question that you ask. In the past, you have been concerned about too many things. You have not allowed your one...
A gentleman came to the museum and told the articles of witchcraft, you will not find the symbolism that perhaps you, I know, case. I'm sorry, the gentleman went home and then he came back again with his son to let me speak to the son. I went and was getting around really wonderfully. And originally, this name was just given to the priesthood to do something. We worked 2 meetings.
He used slides in describing the initiation of a witch.
Witches meet in a circle, which by tradition is 9 feet in diameter. There is an altar in the center of that circle. For the initiation, the initiate is then brought in and stood outside this circle, and the first part of the initiation is the challenge. There is this very stern-faced young woman pointing a sword directly at him and asking, "Do you really want to go through with this?" There will be an exchange of words, and then he will be blindfolded and bound and taken into the circle in a certain way and led around to the 4 cardinal points to be presented to the gods. You eventually end up in front of the altar, kneeling to take the oath of secrecy. And this is just an oath of secrecy. It's a promise to keep the secrets of the craft. There is no repudiation of a previous religion. There are no crosses to spit upon or trample into the dust. There are no goats' buttocks to kiss. It's simply a promise to keep the secrets of the craft.
Witches like Buckland might be thought of as supernatural social workers, claiming they use their special powers collectively only for doing good. When asked about this power, Buckland related an incident involving a member of his coven whose witch name is Skilled. A relative of this member had been in an accident.
He'd been in hospital a great deal of time, he'd been to various specialists, but the final verdict was that he would never walk again. He'd have to spend the rest of his life in bed or, at best, in a wheelchair. So we said since the medical profession had given up, more or less, we decided that we would try to do what we could. We worked in the circle over a period of 3 weeks, I think it was. One day, Skilled was working in his garage alongside the house. He heard somebody walking up the driveway behind him. And turning around, he saw it was his cousin, walking with the aid of a cane, but he was walking, something they said he wouldn't do.
People can call themselves witches. They can get together in covens or groups or cults. They can perform the rituals, light the candles, chant the chants. But is it magic? Will they effectuate anything which traditionally is supposed to be in the realm of witchcraft and magic? In my opinion, they never did, and still don't do it.
Professor Owen Ratcliffe teaches a debunking course in witchcraft at the New York University's Extension Division. Some members of his class admit to practicing witchcraft, and he tries to dissuade them gently with a little humor now and then.
The use of drugs, we believe, was not as direct as it is today, but there was certainly the use of something called a flying ointment, which the witches were supposed to rub on their bodies prior to supposedly flying off to the congregations or the Sabbats. Well, some of these ointments, the recipes, have been worked out in modern times. And darn if it isn't true that these ointments do provide, when rubbed on the body, a chance to leave the place you're at, or to put it simply, to take a trip. You don't really leave, of course. You simply fall down and think you've left.
Despite all efforts at debunking, many mature, well-educated people consult psychics and witches. This young lady is consulting a psychic and the fortune-telling tarot cards to decide where she should resume her college training. This is an actual consultation. Only the time was changed to accommodate our filming schedule.
Kind of intellectual fraud at work here. It's as though it's an automobile that doesn't have a motor, and it doesn't work. There's also some degree of economic fraud, or the usual kind, since this whole interest in the occult and in witchcraft softens up the public for
doing something for Corvettes. On Halloween, we're flying a witch to Pennsylvania for a store opening, one in A&S, one in Bloomingdale's. Grossing is on November the 12th through the 14th. Next March, we have the Concord Hotel. We're doing a complete psychic weekend for them. There's a whole host of things.
Well, one night when I went to bed, a picture of a reptile appeared on my chest. And I've never seen this again. But ever since then, I feel the reptile move, and it takes a different position.
Oh, I want you to perform a magnetism spell. Are you aware of what this involves?
Fine. I'm glad to do anything.
All right. I want you to first look into my eyes. Do you have any sort of feeling now that you're looking into my eyes?
She probably has a power that she can move objects at a distance, because my body was lifted right up from the bed and I couldn't stop it. Even all the religion I had, I could not stop it.
No, well, I have an incantation I'd like you to repeat after me. For 9 days when you get home, I want you to repeat it every day over a candle. Now, I want you to repeat each line after me. It's now.
All right.
Hearken to my prayer.
Hearken to my prayer.
Release me from my bewitchment.
Release me from my bewitchment.
Loosen my sin.
Loosen my sin.
And let there be turned aside whatever evil may come off to cut off my life.
And let there be turned aside whatever evil may be cut off from my life.
And now I want you to go home and do this for 9 days, over a candle.
You know, when I'm giving a reading to a person, if a person has a relative or a friend who's very close to them, I can feel the pain, and I'm feeling his pain now.
Yes, he does have pain in that area, and he doesn't accept that there might be an infection or a disturbance, and he just refuses to go to a doctor, and it's affected him.
It's getting much worse. The area seems to be filling in some sort of a way, in other words, growing. But it's not serious. It hasn't reached the point yet where you'd have to be completely disturbed.
Well, I want to know, what can I do to make him go to the doctor? Because it's affecting him mentally, you see, and emotionally.
I want you to look in front of the mirror when you go home, and I want you to say this 3 times each night at the stroke of midnight. Will you do this?
Yes, I'll do that. Definitely.
I guarantee you within a week, your husband will see a doctor.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I've waited so long for something, some sort of help, since he won't go on his own. And there's nothing that I could say to him.
Well, you've come to the right place.